Hey guys, welcome back to Fix or Pass. We're on episode 21. We're going to review some cool muscle cars, possibly RestoMods, tell you our opinion on whether you should fix or pass on them. Also, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and it's a real easy way to get entered to win a Ram Charger. We're going to be fixing up this Ram Charger pretty cool, and we're going to give it away to one lucky subscriber as soon as we hit 100,000 followers. So easiest sweepstakes we've ever run, where you just have to hit subscribe and you're automatically entered. Also, we are currently nearing the end of our 68 Camaro sweepstakes giveaway. So make sure you're entered to win on that. And our upcoming ones are a really cool Challenger. So keep an eye out for that as well. So without further ado, let's get it cracking. All right, very first car here. This is on eBay. This is a 70 Dodge Challenger, current bid $8,100. It has 4 days left. It is in Assonant, Massachusetts. So let's read a little bit about this car. Let's see here. I have a barn fresh, one family owned 70 Dodge Challenger SE, special edition, rare, small back window. Vitamin C on burnt orange interior, factory 383 4-speed car, 391 sure grip rear end, well optioned rally dash. Let's speed this up because there's a ton of options. Been sitting since '86. Needs a full restoration or used as a donor car. The choice is yours. Says it needs full floors, driver rail, driver rocker. Passenger side is much nicer. Rear rails, trunk are not bad. Passenger rail also not bad. So this car needs a lot of sheet metal work, which is kind of the case with almost any Mopar from the Northeast. It says it's missing the original 383. Motor's long gone. He has a 70 date coded 340 that's currently there with the 4-speed and the original rear end, which is kind of cool. That 391 sure grip rear end is that's the hot ticket. All interior is intact, console's damage free, trim that's super hard to find, rear window plug trim all there, original jack. Only 158 of these cars made in this color combo. This is one of not many first year Challengers. So this is kind of a cool car. It was optioned well, first year car. Someone was really excited to go to the dealership in 1970 and get this car. Rolls easily onto a trailer. This is a no reserve auction bid to win. So that's kind of nice because you know, there's no guessing what this guy needs for this car. It's gonna sell for whatever the top bid is in this auction. So do not bid if you do not have the funds or can't handle a project like this. I don't want any crying when it shows up. Look at all the pictures and know what you are getting. You have 7 days to ask whoever you need to ask and get your funds in order. Okay, maybe this isn't his first eBay auction because this is in all caps. He doesn't want you crying, all right? So knock it off. Feel free to call him. Thank you and happy bidding. Okay, so pretty realistic, pretty straightforward ad. Talks about what he can talk about. Let's look at the pictures. These never lie. This car's rusty. Even up in this hood area. All these rockers like he talked about. Just a rusty Challenger, but it's well optioned. If it had the original motor, that would be a kind of a different story as far as restoring it. I think that's kind of why he alluded to the fact that you could even use this as a donor car. If you had something that was similarly optioned with a Hemi or something, and you need some of these hard to find parts, this would be a good one. Let's keep looking. Man, it doesn't get any better from a different angle. It's still a rough car. It's got the console and everything. Interesting color combo. It's all there. It all needs work. It's got the overhead console. That's kind of rare. Let's keep going. RT. Okay, wow. Okay. So there's like a ton of grease, but it didn't stop things from rusting. You see this frame rail is just rotted. There's just holes in it everywhere. The exhaust pipe is just gone. It's not even attached to anything anymore. So this car, you're gonna tear it apart, and it's gonna be hell to tear it apart because all the bolts are rusted, and then you're gonna have to just rebuild the entire body structure. So, like he said, big project. Here's some pictures of the paperwork, in case you're interested in that. All right, so at $8,100, this is a huge project. I would pass on this because we're so spoiled. I like to start with a nice, as rust-free as you can find car. That's kind of the advice I always give. Start with the nicest car you can afford. Just looking at the pictures of this briefly, this is not gonna be the nicest car at any price range. If this thing goes any higher than this, if it starts approaching the $20,000 mark, bail out of this auction. That's just my opinion. Very highly optioned car. If it had the original engine, I might have a different opinion, but it doesn't have it. Okay, so although I will pass on this car, we are curious to see what you guys think this will bid up to. There's 4 days left. Leave it in the comments. Whoever gets closest to the final selling price of this Challenger, we're gonna send you a shirt and a hat. Get your guesses down there in the comments and win some free merchandise. I think that would be cool. It's fun. I'm curious to see what this goes for, so let's see who's closest, see who knows their stuff with these Mopars. Next one, 70 Chevrolet Chevelle. This looks like a convertible. Buy it now price of $40,000. There's 55 people watching, 19 days left. It doesn't look like you can bid on this car. It looks like it's just for sale, but on eBay. Brief quote says, needs restoration, huge project. Let's read a little more about this. This is in Sacramento. Let's read a little bit about the actual car. Convertible, Cal Hood, Project LS6 454 4-speed Tribute SS. So I'm guessing that means it's not a real SS LS6 convertible. Comes with a big block Chevy, 70 date coded 454. Okay, so it's not the original engine. Crank rods. Started life as a Chevelle convertible with a numbers matching 350. Champagne gold, black interior, non-air car, power disc brakes, power steering, power top, reproduced for Tribute LS6. Okay, build sheet and window sticker for Tribute LS6. So he was going all the way with his plans to like make this like a clone or Tribute car. Lower cowl behind bottom of fenders will need repair due to rust. That's a very common thing on Chevelles. If you're looking at a Chevelle, it's hard to see because usually the fender's on the car, but if the fender has rust, usually the lower cowl section in that toe area is also rusted out. It's usually not that the fender rusted first. It usually went through the cowl and then through the fender. So the cowl area is usually worse. So really look at that if you're looking at GM A bodies. Needs complete trunk pan, floor pan, wheelhouses need attention. It has rust. Okay, so this is a convertible with rust, even though it's here in California, pretty rough car. So it says 4-speed tunnel welded in, 4-speed pedals, floor shift, tilt column, correct bucket seat. So he bought a lot of the parts to make this clone or Tribute car that he was doing, but the car needs a ton of work. It's gonna be a long road to get there. At $40,000, that seems like a lot to me. You know, this car, if it was a real LS6 SS, super valuable car, but it's not. But let's look at some pictures here. It looks like it has a different fender on it, maybe a reproduction, it's hard to tell. Doors there, the top frame is there. Very bare bones car. It was like stripped out, you know, getting ready to start the project. The trunk lid's there. Everything's there as far as the original suspension, but it's all gonna need to be rebuilt. It doesn't look like they've started work on this car other than this assembly. So keep that in mind. You can see here, this car had like the trim piece that usually goes from the top of the fender all the way back on the car. It's got it on the door, but it's missing all the holes except for one maybe on the fenders. So something else you're gonna have to look into. Once you get all these fenders lined up, you're gonna have to drill all the holes and put the trim back on it. Here's that 4-speed hump that is unique to Chevelles that is welded in. Looks like they did a nice job with this. Spot welded in like it would be from the factory. Floors actually don't look bad. Trunk floor, it's invisible. It's not even there. We're just looking at the concrete here, which is interesting. So they cut it out, probably really rusty. It's up to you to put it back in. Here's a spec sheet for the car. Let's look a little bit at this. So not a terribly optioned car. Okay, so this is a reproduced spec sheet with the fake like 454 stuff. So I don't know what the point of doing all this is. When you're building a Tribute, I guess if you want to really trick people, like if you go to a show, you can display this sheet and people think you have a really rare, expensive car, even though you built it out of a Tribute. I would more build a Tribute because it's a car you wanted and couldn't afford. Not so much to like really fool people, but to each their own. Another sheet. I wonder if this is another like fake one that he had made. There's the block. Nice big block. It's got all the casting numbers displayed for you so you can see what you're getting as far as the engine. A nice 4-barrel aluminum intake with casting numbers. He's even got, this looks like a brand new, like, I guess you would call it fake, body tag that's reproduced to make it look like an SS. So something to think about looking at all this stuff. That's something to really think about if you are in the market for one of these really rare, valuable cars. Apparently it's easy to get all this documentation. So think about that. If all the stuff that you're looking at that supports that the car is the rare car is real, or if it's reproduced, I guess that happens out there. So 40,000 is steep. It's a convertible. You know, you may end up with like a really accurate Tribute car at the end, but that's good money. I'm not sure what the market for these Chevelles is, but I think this car without all the like fake SS stuff, you could get a finished running one in the $50,000 range. So you're a long way away from that. I would probably pass on this car as well, just because of the price. I love these Chevelles. Convertibles are cool, but I would pass due to the price, strictly due to the price. Next one, this is something kind of fun. This is in Yuma, so desert vehicle. 58 Chevy School Bus, 3,700 bucks. The price is right on this one. If you're looking for a project, entry-level pricing here, keeps a lot of that money to put into the actual car, and this is gonna need a lot of money. So, has a clean Arizona title, perfect for a hot rod. Viking front clip. So Viking was like the big truck version of the Chevys in the 50s. Sometimes they had a shorter front end. The wheel openings, you can tell, are always way bigger. The wheel openings in the front are always like much bigger. On the Vikings, I think the fenders are actually wider. So if you're doing like something off-road, you have a little more room to tuck a big tire in there. Wayne body, dings and dents, but rust-free. Front clip has a few rust spots here and there. No engine transmission, has rollers for loading, no holds. Must remove. We are not a storage yard. Okay, so it's kind of a problem with something this big. You have to have the ability to move something this big. It usually takes a flatbed. You're gonna have some money. If you don't have all that equipment to move it, you're gonna have to pay somebody. So factor that in when you're shopping. Getting this big vehicle to your area, you know, this isn't gonna probably fit on a normal tow truck or something like that. Let's look at some pictures. Really cool car. It's got a broken windshield, which is fine. This is flat glass, so not a huge deal to replace it. It's got like kind of most of the arms here for the big mirrors. This was a school bus, although like this is white and then this is yellow, so maybe they came from two different places, but that's very common. You know, the body for a bus is made by a different manufacturer than GM. You can see the inside a little bit here. You can start to see it says Tucson something here. But yeah, it's got a little bit of dings and dents and stuff here. The dash is there. For sale. There's some insulation in here. Tucson Youth Club. Okay, so you kind of get an idea of what this was used for back in the day. This was kind of a local Tucson, you know, youth club shuttle. It's actually pretty rust-free. There's some surface rust, but as far as a vehicle from 1958 goes, this is pretty good. There's your kind of tag from the person that made the school bus body. World's safest coaches. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't know how safe they are by today's standards, but you can see the doorway, the entrance. So this is kind of a blank canvas. What we're seeing a lot of popularity. We did an ambulance in an episode not too long ago, and we had ideas of like making a camping rig out of it or an overlanding vehicle. This is almost like you could make like van life type vehicle out of this, where you could go cross country, maybe deck out this interior. It looks like it's pretty gutted. There's a lot of spare parts in there, but you could put a bed in here and, you know, all your facilities to have like a little motorhome or something really unique. And depending, there's no drivetrain in it, so you could go crazy. A good one would be like to put a 12-valve Cummins in it, and then this thing will be reliable, decent on gas. It'll have enough torque to move it. At this price point, you got to think like you're going to spend some money on the drivetrain, going through the brakes, getting it to where you can go drive this thing. Something like this, you want to be able to drive it long distance. So keep that in mind. You want it that reliable. Not really around town. I mean, I guess I've seen guys go to car shows and shuttle people around. Has a lot of different uses. What do you guys see in this? What would you do with it? Would you build like a schoolie, what they call them? It's like a conversion for like living quarters. Would you open up the back hatch and maybe build a ramp so you could load your race car in there? All kinds of neat stuff you could do with this. At $3,700, I would say fix. It's a big project, but if you're looking for something unique, big, you have these types of needs where you need a large vehicle that you could stand up in, fit a lot of people, fit a tiny home in there, whatever you want, fix on this one. Okay, next one, 68 Charger. This is right up our alley. We like Chargers. This is on Bring a Trailer. Current bid, $24,000. It ends in 6 days. So this is another one. We're curious. What do you think this is gonna go for? Leave that in the comments. So this as well, another Mopar. Whoever gets the closest to what this actually ends for on Bring a Trailer, as far as the bid price, we'll send you a shirt and hat as well. We'll get in touch with you in the comment section once this auction ends. We have a lot of cool new designs, so we do have Charger specific shirts. You'll get one of those for this, so that'll be cool. Let us know your size and all that too, because people come in all different sizes. So let's read quickly about this. 68 Charger said to have been purchased new by seller's stepfather. Okay, so there's already like a lot of lore and said to be and like maybes and stuff, and that happens. That surrounds these cars, like especially you get like a high dollar, high value Charger like this. you know, throughout time, the stories get a little, word of mouth gets convoluted. Car is powered by a 318 V8, made it to a 3-speed automatic, and is equipped with concealed headlights, locking fuel cap, American racing wheels, AM radio. Charger is now offered by the seller on behalf of their mother with a clean Nebraska title. Okay, and it's being auctioned off, location Lincoln, Nebraska. Black vinyl upholstery. Pretty basic car, but it's a 68 Charger. This was like, I would say, lower option car. It's not a big, exciting big block. It's not a Hemi, anything like that. Repainted current shade of bronze in the early 2000s. Round side marker lights. Damage is evident on the left rear quarter. Chips are present. So because this paint job is probably, you know, over 20 years old at this point, it's going to present itself as such. It's going to have a little wear and tear. Don't go in bidding on this car thinking you're getting a perfect car. I can tell right off the bat by the way it's presented, not a perfect car. The seat has a little tear here. It's all complete, you know, original gauges. Very original car. It looks like it's got some aftermarket wheels, and that's about it. Somebody put a nice exhaust system on it. You can see a little bit of the underside of the car. Doesn't look too rusty, but you can't really see the common rust places on this car from this picture. So let's see if there's any more pictures. Here's like a cold start video. Those are always good. Bring a Trailer is pretty good with having actual videos of cars running and sometimes driving usually. This car has quite a few pictures. We've seen some Bring a Trailer ads with like hundreds of pictures, like too many to even scroll through. This one doesn't have that many. You can see the underside, the drivetrain. Floors look good. Sometimes they rust in this area. Let's keep looking. So yeah, this is the rest of the floor. This is like the back area of the car. Looks pretty good, but really you want to see the rockers, and they're covered by the lift here. So you can't really see the rockers. You can't see the trunk. Here you can see the front of the car, not really a good underside shot. So it's tough because you're going to want to see more pictures of this car. Here's the VIN number. A lot of pictures of that. Pretty sanitary engine compartment. This is common to getting rust. It looks like it's all painted. It looks like the car was painted like somewhat together. It wasn't like disassembled for the repaint. Because there's some paint over like some of the bolts, and then, you know, the shock, the top of the shock here has paint on it. Maybe the engine wasn't in it. Maybe they masked it off. They did a good job. Looks like the heater core is not hooked up. So it's a little bit of a project still. It looks well, it's presentable, but you're gonna have some little finishing touches on this car. Here's a trunk shot. Actually looks pretty good. There's some stuff that you can't see. You know, the picture is too zoomed in. You know, you're gonna wanna see a little bit more of that. Back looks pretty nice. I love those taillights. That's a 68 Charger. It's got the best taillights in my opinion. Interior does look pretty good. Headliner's all there. Not a bad car. Pretty presentable, pretty honest, I would say, like other than the repaint. This car hasn't had a lot of people going in there and changing things. Not a lot of aftermarket stuff. This wasn't really like some guy's hot rod. Sometimes you see this with these muscle cars. Somebody bought them when they were a lot more affordable. Weren't afraid to do some like quick, cheap Pep Boys modifications on them. You don't really see that in this car, so that's cool. Let's look at some of the comments briefly. It's an interesting place to kind of look at stuff on Bring a Trailer is the comments, because you get like not live, but you get actual interactions with the seller that you can read. So a lot of times people are asking questions that you would ask. He said, I'll be uploading a cold start video. We kind of went over that, weather permitting. Says somebody's asking about the reserve, and Bring a Trailer will tell you if an auction is no reserve. If it doesn't say anything, it's got a reserve on it. So most likely, this one has a reserve. It's up to the seller. He can raise or lower it, I guess, but it's hard to know unless the seller gets in the comments and tells you this is my reserve. People are saying this is a really nice car in good condition. So if you compare this car to the Challenger we looked at, this car is in really good shape compared to that. So not a big project, a very small project on this car. Interesting, most had vinyl roofs back in. He's not wrong. It's nice to see a car that didn't have a vinyl roof. I think vinyl roof was like a sign of luxury back then, so like it was cooler. It was considered cooler to have it. Now, some of us think of it differently because aesthetically, I kind of like the no vinyl look, and then everyone knows about the rust under the vinyl, so a lot of people look for a no vinyl roof car. Great wheel choice, so the wheel choice is the same as like a Dukes of Hazzard car. Let's see, what was the original color? Fair question. Let's see, some of this other stuff. Gear ratio unknown, so he doesn't know what the gear ratio on the rear end is. Best body shape ever. Great lines, a lot of compliments. Does it have a fender tag? Fair question with a Mopar. Fender tag is kind of important to a lot of people. This car would be a good candidate for a RestoMod. It's not a big block car, it's not an RT, it's nothing rare. I wouldn't feel bad about putting a better drivetrain in this, doing some suspension work. This is a good candidate for that. Depending on the price, these cars can go for a lot, so keep an eye on this on Bring a Trailer. I think the market is like kind of stabilized on these cars as far as they're not going up to the moon with pricing, but I'd be curious to see where this one ends up at, because we're always looking at Chargers and we're always curious about what they're going for. So let us know what you guys think. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna say fix on the 68 Charger, even though you could probably drive this car as is. It's pretty presentable, but I would fix. It's a good candidate for a resto mod. Current bid is only $24,000. That could go anywhere. I would say my threshold for this being a fix, in my opinion, price-wise, I don't know, 40, 50,000, somewhere in there. I mean, that's a lot of money, but the car seems to be pretty nice. So anything higher than that, I don't know, that's tough. I see them selling in better condition for around that price, so keep that in mind, but still fix on this car. That about wraps it up. We did 4 cars. We solicited you guys to tell us your opinion on what some of these auctions are gonna end at. You never know, auctions are crazy like that, so educated guesses are best, but anything could happen on these auctions, so make sure you drop your guess in the comments, and you might get a free shirt, free hat in your size. And that is it. So thank you, and keep having fun with cars.